What's up, Facebook? It's your girl, Constance Carter, and I am in the office pretty early today. I normally don't get in till about maybe about 9:30, 10 Pacific Standard Time, but I got to the gym early today, feeling real good. And let me see. I think let me make sure my volume is right. Um, but anyway, I'm feeling real good. And I just been in a silly mood this morning, just thinking. I don't know if you saw my post about businesses versus businesses, and so I know that this is a grammatically incorrect statement. I ain't got no, so I just kind of feel like talking business today. No, I feel like talking the way that I hear so many people talk about what they don't have. And the statement normally starts with, I ain't got no money, no car, I ain't got no life, I ain't got no love, I ain't got no happiness, I ain't got no friends, I ain't got no nothing. And yes, that is a grammatically incorrect statement, but it's something that we hear so often. I ain't got no money, I ain't got no car, I ain't got no life, I ain't got no love, I ain't got no happiness. This is not the business. Yeah, Chandra, it's not the business. And so I have a question, because I hear it so many times, and I want to know why you ain't got no. Why don't you have any of these things? What in your life are you lacking? Is it because you're a victim of your circumstances? Is it because all bad things happen to you? I remember I had this guy, I had hired him to do like my surround sound in my house. And he had come to me because I don't know how he found me, Google me or something, but he was in some kind of eviction, and I helped him out with that. And so he said he was going to help me out with the surround sound or whatever. But when I talked to him, he was a professional victim. Like, his wife left him, his job did him wrong, the landlord did him, like all these people did him wrong. And initially I was like, wow, this guy has the worst luck. But as I started working with him more, and as he started screwing up on my job, I understood that he definitely wasn't a victim. This was a person who didn't have, because he was a professional victim. He blamed everything on everybody else and never took responsibility. And so I want to know, number one, do you take responsibility for your failures? Do you take responsibility for your own failures, for your own life? Some people don't get to a point of maturity. When you're kids, like my kids, they don't take responsibility for nothing. They always blame everything on everybody else. They don't say, you know what, it's my bad, I was the one that didn't handle my responsibility. But as we become adults, I was like that when I was a kid. I remember always, it was never my fault. It was never my fault. And then at some point in life, I matured and I started taking responsibility. That's what responsible adults do. But there's so many times that we still become professional victims, and we allow things to happen to us. And we act like we have no control over our lives. So we need to get to a point where we start being responsible, and we start taking responsibility. Do you take responsibility for the fact that you failed, or is it somebody else's fault? You got fired and it's somebody else's fault. You weren't successful at your business and it's somebody else's fault. But do you take responsibility for the things that you've done? When you have a mission in life that's bigger than yourself, you can't let life's mishaps control the narrative of your situation. You can't do it. Just 2 years ago, I'm in an office space across the street, where I had just moved to another office space in the city of Stockton 2 months after I paid $89,000 to get us in this space, doing improvements and whatnot. The city of Stockton came in and evicted all the tenants, and said we all had to move because of code violations. And so everybody was looking at me like, Constance, what are we gonna do? And people came to me and they were like, I know you're mad, and I know you're pissed off. And for me, like, I wasn't mad. I had paid $89,000, and $89,000, I don't care how much money you make, I don't care how much money you got, is nothing to cough at, nothing to bark at. It's a significant amount of money for anybody, whether you have it or not. But I couldn't allow that circumstance to allow me to be a victim, because I had a team of agents that were looking at me like, what we gonna do, boss? And I had to say, okay, here's where we're going to be. And we ended up being homeless for 6 months. We ended up having to get into another space, and I pay more rent here than I pay across the street for a smaller space. We may do with what we have. We lost people. We lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't have time to be a victim because I have too many people that are depending on me and that are worried about me to make decisions. So I know when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, God, what are you doing? What are you doing, God? Because I knew that the blessings had to be greater later. I ain't got the blessings yet. We still over here. We still haven't moved in. We've been told since January we're moving back to our space, and we're still not there. But again, I had to say, okay, I don't have time to be a victim. I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I ain't got that kind of time or energy or effort. I need to figure out what's the solution and what's going to get me to where I need to be a lot quicker. So you always have to be in a position where you're saying, listen, whatever comes my way, I'm gonna get knocked down, I'm gonna get uppercutted, I'm gonna get punched in the face. All of these things are going to happen to me in life, period. I can choose to be a victim or a victor. I could choose to be extraordinary or ordinary. I could choose to let things happen to me, or I can choose to make things happen regardless of what happens to me. And so we have to figure out a ways to just say, F it, forget all that stuff that's getting ready to happen. I remember my friend Keisha. I was when I first moved to Stockton, lost my job. Warren lost his job. We were like a couple months behind on our mortgage. My daughter was a baby. Like they were, I got a notice of default and all this stuff. And Keisha was like, dang, Niecy. She was like, why are you so optimistic, even though you're going through all this stuff? And I was like, because I know it's going to be greater later. I know this is not the end. And I'm 24 years old. And so at that young age, I had to, things happen. And thank God for the things that happened to me before so that I can have that mindset to say, I can't let it knock me down because I know that I deserve more than this situation or the circumstance. And I'm no greater than anybody else. I'm no smarter than anybody else. But I want you to know that whatever happens, you deserve the greatness. So don't allow those situations and circumstances to hold you back. Don't allow life's happenstances. Don't allow you got a divorce or somebody fires you or somebody kicked you in the butt or you lost a client or somebody said no or somebody laughed at you. I've been laughed at. People are probably laughing at me now. I don't care because my mission and my purpose that God has placed on the inside of me is way more important than other people's opinions of me. Because one of the things that I know for sure, Lisa Nichols said, is somebody else's opinion of me is none of my business. So who cares what everybody else says? Who cares what anybody else thinks about what it is that you're doing if God has given you that? I was talking to my daughter yesterday and she was telling me about how, these young people, they care so much about social media and social media is just so important. And they base, and look, adults do the same thing. We base our worthiness based upon how many likes that we get, how many shares we get, how many happy birthdays we get, all that stuff. We do that. 40-some years old people out here clout chasing. I know clout chasers all over the place. And so we measure our importance by what other people think about us. And the thing about it is if we are so focused on our mission and we know what it is that God has given us to do, you don't worry about that stuff. Who cares about if people liking you or liking what you say or liking what you do? It's on you. So I encourage you to, be ready. Don't be a victim. Always be ready, be in the right place, not just be in the right place at the right time, but being the right person at the right place at the right time. Does that mean education? Get yourself educated. Google, go to conferences, meetups, get a coach. There's a story, and I'm going to bring up Lisa Nichols again. Lisa Nichols was on the Oprah Winfrey Show years ago with The Secret, all the people from The Secret. And one of the things she said on the commercial break, Oprah said to her, how many coaches do you have? And I think at the time Lisa had maybe one or two coaches. And she said, notice, she didn't say, do you have a coach? She said, how many coaches do you have? And so she thought about that on the commercial break and she was like, So she asked her on the next commercial break, well, how many coaches do you have? And Oprah told her, I have 3 coaches or 4 coaches or however many it was. And so she said, you know what I did? I went and got me 2 or 3 more coaches because if somebody at that level needs a coach, then you're damn right I need a coach. And so for me, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal and professional development. Just last year, I spend money on personal and professional development because it's important. I spent over $120,000 in 2018. What is this? 2018 alone. And I'm always going somewhere. I'm always somewhere investing my money because I believe that I am the biggest commodity. I believe that I am my biggest investment. If I don't invest in myself, who will? You know, my PhD didn't come free because I got a public high school diploma PhD. For y'all slow people, it didn't come free. And where I am today is a result of the investment that I make in myself. So I'm asking you, and I'm telling you that you always need to be ready. And so the way that you avoid being a professional victim, is by making the investment in yourself. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it. So I want to encourage you today. I want to encourage you to always, always, always be ready. Don't be a victim. Be the right person at the right place at the right time. A lot of investments that I made were because I was the right person at the right place at the right time. And it wasn't because, if you read my book, The Secret to Breaking the Bro Code, I don't know if I have one in here, but if you've ever read my book, and I talk about being ready to receive, because God's blessings are out there. They're waiting on you. And sometimes they're presented to you in a way and you're not even ready to receive them. They're given to you, but either your mindset is not right or you're not the right person in the right place at the right time. So when I made the investment into the marijuana dispensary, had that position or had that opportunity came up to me 10 years ago when I filed bankruptcy, I wasn't the right person at the right place at the right time. I wasn't ready. Okay. So be in a position where you're no longer a victim and you are the victor and you could take advantage of opportunities. I no longer want to hear I ain't got no. I want to hear what you can and what you will do. I want to hear that you are able to do anything, because guess what? Your words, first it becomes your thought, and then it becomes the things that come out of your mouth, and then it becomes the action behind it. So the words are going to put you in the position to where either you're going to succeed or you're going to fail. But it starts with the things that you say. And I mentioned on Monday that your words are the biggest thing. They can heal, they can hurt, they can humiliate, they can humble. The power of the tongue is great. And just like Biggie and Tupac always talked about death, and they ended up dying. Even the rappers last year, I forget their names, X10, whatever. All those, what I tell the kids, they always know, but I don't know. But if the things that you speak over your life are so important, and they are the differentiator on whether you are going to be successful or whether you're going to fail. So I want you to know the reason why you ain't got no is because you have not put yourself in a position to be ready. So I talked about belief on Monday. I talked about not only believing in a higher power and believing in yourself, but believing that you deserved it. And then today, I just want you to be ready. You ain't got no because you ain't ready. Get ready. Stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. I'm Constance Carter. Peace.